Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So, that end of the year video hasn't come yet, and I apologize heavily for that. Basically my motivation had kind of up and vanished to make a new video since the previous seasonal video, and I do apologize for that. But if you still want to see that Best of 2024 video, let me know in the comments below. It still is coming, but it's just going to take some time because I'm working on this video as well as we speak. In the meantime, I've decided I will be doing another seasonal video, as I mentioned before, for the spring season of anime, since I feel there's at least a good few things that I can really want to talk about this time around. We've had some great shows this past season, among which include Solo Leveling Season 2, My Happy Marriage Season 2, 100 Girlfriends Season 2, man, a lot of Season 2s, and MyAnimeList, among others. This season, however, let's get some fresh eyes on the picture and discuss what am I watching for spring 2025. This season, I will make an effort to get back onto the seasonal grind and give everything at least an episode or two, since it oftentimes can be the best way to find a diamond in the rough. There will be some exceptions, as for season 2s of shows I haven't seen, but other than that, we'll be seeing everything that's really coming out. However, as is typical of these videos, I'm just going to state right off the bat that this is merely a list of shows that I'm most excited or intrigued to see. If I don't mention a particular show that you like, it's not because I don't like it or that I don't care about it, it's just these are the ones that catch my eye first. Though definitely leave me some recommendations in the comments below for anything that you're awaiting to see. With that being said, let's get on to the list. Starting with Fire Force Season 3. Honestly, I had no idea when this was actually going to come out, and to learn it's coming soon, I'm really excited. It's been nearly 5 years since the second season released, and the wait between seasons is what ultimately drove me to read and finish the manga, which, by the way, go give it a read. I'm not totally well versed in where we're going to be going this season for a couple of reasons, really. It's mostly because I finished the manga, like, I want to say maybe 3 or 4 years ago, if I wanted to make a guess, and another point I'll come on to later. But I can tell at the very least, because of the trailers we've been seeing, that we're going to see a return of many of our favorite characters, and many fights that have been quite anticipated over the course of the manga, and even some interesting little tidbits of information and new characters that are going to be playing a pivotal role, because we're not terribly far away from the end of the manga. We're around chapter 170 from where we stopped at season 2, so we're going to be going from that point on, and there's a few little bit here. So we're going to be seeing a return of many of our favorite characters and seeing some of them getting into the high octane action that this series loves to deliver. It's going to be interesting to see how far we end up going into the story, since, as I mentioned before, we still have a lot of chapters. We have 130 chapters to go, but I'm holding on to this one with good hopes that it will be as good as the previous 2 seasons have been, even if there may be some things they may have to trim down or cut for time. I really don't have much more to add to this personally. It's one of those ones I just really love to watch every week as it comes out, but I really do recommend checking out Fire Force if you haven't already. I will say I do know that this series does get a lot of shit for, certain choices for certain characters, specifically in regards to this one right here, Tamaki, for her special ability, for say, which is mostly done for fan service sakes. But in the grand scheme of things, me personally, I don't think that is quite enough to ruin Fire Force. Maybe it's different for you, and I can understand that, but I think you're missing out on something if this is the only thing that's really going to take you away from it. So I definitely recommend at least giving it a shot. And with Season 3 coming up very soon, you might want to go through it a little bit, because there is a lot of episodes right now between Seasons 1 and 2. So go out and watch it. Give Fire Force a watch, and maybe even a read. I truly recommend it. Moving on to our next show, we're staying in the shonen category, because next up we have Windbreaker Season 2. Man, I can't believe it's been a year since Season 1 aired. It almost felt like it was a summer show, if I'm going to be honest with you, because it felt that recent. Nonetheless, it's coming back now, and I couldn't be more excited for it. Cloverworks is back at the helm of this one to throw us back into the exciting action we left off with in Season 1, where a new rival faction has made its appearance by the name of Keel. The Furien students are joined by some new faces that we can meet here in the trailer, including an interesting looking character like this one. to take on these white-clad foes who, as we've seen at the tail end of Season 1, are definitely not out here to make friends or even do much of any good, other than to build their name as one of the strongest and feared factions around. As an anime-only watcher, I'm going to be eagerly awaiting what's in store for us this time around, because Season 1 had a lot of very good fights to watch, and equally good character building moments, especially around the tournament arc with characters like our main boy in Furin Umemiya, I guess not main boy, but the top dog, and then characters like Togane and Tomiyama from the other faction that was in the tournament arc. Really good stuff, I love that. And if Cloverworks can keep up the quality of what we got in Season 2, I think we're in for something great. I'll most likely also end up picking the manga up at some point to read ahead, just in case we don't get a Season 3, which I'm hoping that if this one is good that we do. But at least for Season 2, I'm going to be staying blind into this. But once it's over, I'm definitely going to be checking out the manga. If you haven't seen Windbreaker before, I would definitely recommend at least giving it a chance to some degree. I don't really watch a lot of battle shonen, as is probably quite aware. But every so often, there's always some good quality ones that come out, at least in my opinion. I'm not the best at judging quality on these types of shows, but I think it's quite good. And the score says enough for itself. It was like pretty well liked as it was airing. So if I'm going to recommend another thing from this season, please check out Windbreaker Season 2. Now for a bit of change of pace from the combat and action side of things, let's take a detour into my wheelhouse, romance. Wow! And where better to start then with Aharen-san Season 2. Oh boy. This was one that was announced quite a while ago, and I was just never really sure when it was going to come out. I'm going to be honest with you. The first season was released in kind of a stacked list with certain types of shows back in spring 2022. It had to compete along stuff like the first season of Spy Family, Kaguya-sama Season 3, really good show by the way, and Summertime Rendering. So it had to compete against all of this kind of stuff for any sort of relevance, which, given the quality of those shows, is quite the task. However, Felix Film delivered one of my favorite romance shows of 2022 with great care, and I couldn't be happier for that. Now they finally return, after 3 years of absence, to deliver more cute, funny, and kinda zany antics between our odd couple of Reina Aharen and Matsuboshi Raido, and the rest of our ensemble of funny and endearing characters. The dynamic between our tiny silly girl Aharen and our equally as silly big man in Raido is very fun to watch, and from my own little perspective here, it's kind of nice that it definitely strays away from our typical school romance shows that we tend to get every season, in 1s or 2s or 3s, you know, given some exceptions in recent times, which for me is a nice change of pace. While the nervous and hopeless lovers, ever so slowly and often painfully so, recognizing their feelings in all sorts of awkward scenarios can have its place. You know, stuff like, well, you have a whole list, but Takagi's probably one of my favorites in that regard. It's mostly a one-sided awkward thing, but you know, it is what it is, right? So while those things have its place, I enjoy when we can just see a couple of goobers, in this case, subtly just getting close to each other and having fun. At least for now, anyway. I mean, we'll tell why. But I'm confident that the needle will be moving soon enough because, first of all, I want these two together right now, and secondly, the trailers are, definitely giving some hope in that regard. Speaking of trailers, apart from much of our returning cast, who are all lovable in their own regard, we're also going to be getting, at least from what I can see, at least one new character who's going to be fun, who is a nice, simple, blonde Gyaru girl who is going to have a fun dynamic with Reina. I've never really said it much because it's not really something that has come up too often, but I will say this as much: I love Gyaru characters. I really do. I think a lot of them, for the most part, are really fun and enjoyable characters to see. I can't really put it into words. I just find them really enjoying. But anyways, I'm excited for this one to make a return, and if you're a fan of romance, I would definitely say give this one a shot. Especially if you need a break from the typical ones that we get every season, because this one, at least, I'd say is a little bit different in that regard, and I would definitely recommend you check this one out. Moving on to one show of note that I'm mostly watching for interest in, a morbid kind of fascination per se, is a show by the name of Hayate Kudasai Takamine-san, which The English title is something like, "Please put them on Takamine-san," which does sound like a bit of a strange title, and given the subject matter of the series, you bet your ass it's gonna be a weird one. I'm not familiar with this series in general, though at the very least I am familiar with its creator, Yuichi Hiragi, which is a notable, let's say, lewd artist. Let's just say for YouTube's sake, okay?
Holy Jesus.
Animated by Liden Films, this is going to be an interesting one. The premise of the show is centered around a girl named Takamine, who's very good at school and is liked by many of her peers. Though she has a secret power that nobody seems to know about, which allows her to restart from a certain part in her life and create a different outcome, so she can turn back time and make something go her way. Sounds pretty simple enough, right? But what's the cost of this power? Because all good power comes with good responsibility and maybe even a drawback. Well, the cost of this power in particular is that she needs to remove a part of her clothes, which, okay, already we're getting somewhere here. But not just any part, specifically her underwear. Yeah, for real. A classmate does end up learning about this power by accident, and the two of them form a sort of reluctant relationship around helping Takamine be at the top of her school, whether that be staying at the top of the school hierarchy or just getting good grades in school. Though this does mean having to help her put on her underwear each time she uses her special ability, which, as I can tell from the trailers, is going to happen a fair bit in all its full glory, let's just say. Also, I don't think I can really show much or any of the trailers without the soft hand of YouTube ready to crush my skull and finger my ass at any given moment. So I'm going to keep the visuals to a low, as I'm sure you could probably tell. This is mostly here for my morbid curiosity, as this is one of the big ecchi shows that's been advertised this year so far, especially from folks like Chibi Reviews, for example. He really was going on about this one. But nevertheless, I'm a little nervous, but also intrigued to see what Liden Films is going to do with this one. I've not read the original story, but judging by just the definition and the trailers that we've seen here, that's going to be something else. I'm going to be telling you that. So if you want to see something that may be crazy, give this one an episode. Maybe it'll be something worth your time, or just out of morbid curiosity. And the last show on our list today is going back to romance for one last time, and this one, much like our last, is mostly for curiosity's sake, but we're still going to be checking it out anyway. What show might that be by chance? Well, it's the Shiunji Family Children. This is a series birthed out of the pits of hell by Reiji Miyajima, the creator of Rent-A-Girlfriend, of which, by the way, next season, Season 4 is coming out, so a video for that maybe? So you know this is going to be something interesting, whether that be for better or for worse. The current score of a 6.06 on MAL for the manga is certainly not helping things in keeping the reputation, and it's also not too great because that's even less than Rent-A-Girlfriend. This is another romance series that's going to be animated this time by Doga Kobo, and it surrounds Arata Shiunji, of which the Shiunji name is a part of, who lives with his 5 sisters and a brother. As a bit of a hopeless romantic, I mean, he's kind of out there, he's looking for a girlfriend, as you probably would normally do, and he's not having too much luck in that regard. But it turns out, he really doesn't have to look too far, because he has 5 possible choice... Wait, that's an oddly specific number. 5? He also has 5 sisters. That's kind of... Oh. He's going to be ending up with one of his sisters. I see. Well, incest haters, fret not. A bombshell drops that they're not actually blood related at all. Though that might be disappointing to some. As we can see from the trailers, we get a pretty typical harem, love triangle, blah 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 kind of story of a boy with his 5 sisters, and we're going to see much of the same scenarios that harem is famous for, but this time written by the Rent-A-Girlfriend guy. So we'll see how that goes. So maybe a little bit of extra ingredients in this stew will be a bit of a different change of pace from something like Quintessential Quintuplets or Temple, but at the moment it's hard to say if that special ingredient is a tasty serving of meat and veggies or rat poison. We'll see. I'm not opposed to harem anime. Hell, one of my favorite romance shows from summer 2023 was one, which, as I mentioned before, was a show called Temple. Really good stuff, by the way, really enjoyable. But this one is mostly just curiosity to see another creation from Mr. Miyajima, and to see if maybe I'm a bit prejudiced towards him, or if I'm right, because I like Rent-A-Girlfriend as an entertainment kind of thing, but as a story, it's definitely not something that you would ever want to recommend to somebody, because it's kind of bad. But if you're a manga reader out of this show, all 10 of you, please let me know what you think of this. With all that being said, this is all the anime I wanted to talk about today. I do want to at least give one special mention to the new Konosuba OVA that will also be releasing this season, but as it's a one-episode OVA, I don't think it's really worth covering in too much detail. Though I'm happy to watch it all the same, because I love Konosuba. Like I said at the beginning of this video, if you have any suggestions for shows I should check out this season that I haven't mentioned here already, leave them in the comments below and I'd love to get back to you. This season for me seems like it's going to be a bit of a breather, similar to the current winter season, give or take a couple shows. But come summer, we'll have a couple good things that have been announced so far, including Dandadan Season 2, Kaiju number 8 Season 2 for those who watch that, the Infinity Castle movie for Demon Slayer, Sakamoto Days Part 2, and to a lesser extent, for my own personal love of trash, Rent-A-Girlfriend Season 4. But anyways guys, thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please like and hit the subscribe button to stay tuned for more, and if not, I would love to know what you'd like me to improve on. As a side note, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but as you can tell from the channel, we have kind of changed things up. I have now shortened the name just to Kareniya. We're no longer Kareniya's room. We're just Kareniya. So this is just going to be a simpler sake for my case, and we don't have to worry about any crazy titles and whatever. I'm hoping you understand that. I will try to get the best of 2024 video done as well, even if it's going to be kind of algorithmically dead because I'm going to be releasing it way after the beginning of the year. But I still want to make it because I have fun making those videos, and I want to give you something that I promised, and I don't want to flake out. So we're going to get to that. But anyways, that's it for me. My name is Kareniya, and thank you for tuning in. See ya.